Hello and welcome to Green Shoots, a show where we catch up with founders of startup companies to relive the journey of their startups with them, their highs and lows, their lessons and learnings. I'm Anisha Nair Dhawan. In this episode, we are joined by Rupesh Jain, founder of Candare. Now, Candare is an online jewelry store which sells gold and diamond jewelry, and Rupesh Jain and Ashish Bajaj founded this company in 2013. Thank you so much for joining us, Rupesh. A pleasure to have you with us on our show.
Thank you so much, Anisha. Thanks for inviting us on the show.
Rupesh, you did your engineering and you also worked as a software engineer in the early part of your career. So, what made you set up an online jewelry store?
So, Anisha, this is a long story, but I will just say it in very short. I come with a jewelry background with almost 4 decades of experience. My entire family has been into jewelry industry, and I did my engineering from Mumbai University, and then worked with IT company L&T Infotech, and then implemented couple of larger ERP projects, and then understood the power of technology. How can it really bring a lot of value to business? And that's where I thought of connecting our family business, retail jewelry business, to an online store. Since we had a lot of experience, the entire supply chain management was well settled, and we had a lot of knowledge on that particular part. So then we integrated the technology to the business, and that's where Candare came into existence. And today we have a lot of beautiful designs on the website, and we are on one single mission: how can we really make jewelry accessible to all the people in the country, and whatever is the form of happiness that we can give and we can really share with their moment of happiness. We just want to do that. So that's the mission we are on for Candare.
Okay, so Rupesh, I understand you had knowledge of the jewelry business, you had a family business as well. But why take it online? 2013 internet penetration in our country wasn't that large. And you have an existing business, right? Why not just grow that business? What's the idea about taking jewelry business online when it's high value, people want to touch and feel, and they feel a little edgy about my gold is in the mail. So, did you think it's risky? Why online jewelry store?
So, Anisha, as you rightly mentioned, in every problem statement, we can find the opportunity. And I think all the founders across the globe are actually finding that opportunity. And that's where I also saw that it's a clear cut market which is there. And since in the West, it was already an established market, in India, it was a no brainer that this market will go up. It is just the matter of time. So, in 2013, you rightly mentioned the internet penetration was very less. The other online players were also struggling at that time. Bringing jewelry as a sector online was definitely difficult for us to think, but I always had a vision for minimum 1 decade or 10 years from here. And I thought that if we can really have the ball rolling in the first initial years, definitely when the wave will come, we will really get a lot of advantage, and we can be the first mover advantage at that time. And that's what we are seeing in this pandemic, in this entire era of getting digital businesses first. So that was the main reason of putting jewelry store online.
Okay, so the pandemic changed a lot of things. A lot of people came on online. The whole world moved online, but you can't quite say that it was an easy time for those who had a discretionary spending business, because there was a lot of job insecurity. Some people were laid off, and people weren't really spending, especially on absolutely discretionary items like jewelry. So,
Sure.
how did you manage during the pandemic? Was it good? Was it bad? And now, what's the outlook?
So during the pandemic, definitely the initial time of the pandemic, we really struggled a lot. The entire business was almost at a standstill. But after a month, we started adopting work from home strategy. Suddenly, the entire people were sent to home, and we really understood how can we work from home. And the market started again opening, because there were a lot of occasions which were there and people wanted to celebrate. But since there were no offline stores where they can go and buy, they still had an option to choose their product and buy online. And we started going on that particular path. And there was reasonable amount of traction that we could see. In fact, our Akshay Tritiya in 2020 and 2021, in both the years were one of the best period that we had seen. And both the times we were seeing a lockdown period in the offline world, and people were really wanting to buy because the emotional value on Akshay Tritiya is very high. People really want to buy, and the other part was their other expenses were very low. The marriage uh, expenses on the catering side, on the wedding side, wedding planning side, they were at a very low side. And I think the safest investment for all the people was gold. So I think a lot of money actually went into gold and diamond business, and that's where we really took the traction, and we managed the business in a good way.
All right. So 2013, you start Candere, an online store, and then in 2017, you tied up with Kalyan Jewelers. They bought a significant stake in your company. What was the thought process behind this? Did you need the investment? Did you want the brand partnership? What made you sell stake to Kalyan Jewelers, and how has it helped in your business?
So to be very frank, Anisha, I was always on thought process that we want to get associated with one of the large offline jewelry brand who can really be a strategic partner to us for a long term, because I was always in this business for a long term vision, and since they also come with jewelry background, they also understand that this is a niche business, and this is a business which is not very easy to do. So thought of partnering with them. Definitely they had a strong brand presence across the country. They have the best brand ambassadors on board. So for us, for a brand like Candere, it really made a lot of sense to get associated with them and take their leverage and take their experience on board and really help us in expanding our line of product line also, and also going ahead with the omni-channel kind of strategy.
All right. So, what was the growth between 2013 and 2017? And once that you had an established brand by your side, how has the growth changed? Say till from
So
2017 to 2019. Let's not include the pandemic for now.
So 2017 to 2019, almost we grew by 100% year on year. So our growth rate has been consistent. Every year we are growing by 100%, and I
Mhm.
see that we can keep growing by 100% in next still more couple of years, because the market is continuously opening for us. There are new payment gateways which are coming. The convenience of payment is coming in the market. The fintech is really helping us in growing the business. The entire infrastructure growth in the country, thanks to Reliance Jio and all other bigger firms who are opening the internet penetration in the country. So I think the market is really exploding. And in from 2017, when we got associated with Kalyan Jewelers, it was really a big thing for us. And suddenly, the traffic on the website went up, the conversion rate went up, our average ticket value went up, and I think we see a lot of positive things coming from that association.
All right. Now, I want to understand the operating metrics a little bit and how have they improved in the years that you've been operating? Because as much as I understand, for the normal jewelry companies, and India is a big exporter as well, it's a low margin, high volume business. For you, is it the same model? Would you be more dependent on higher volumes to, get your bottom line up and running, or do you have cost savings because you don't pay rent, because you charge a premium for your designs? How does it work on the bottom line?
So on the bottom line, to be very frank, Anisha, we are working very closely because we track a lot of metrics on day-to-day basis, right from customer acquisition cost to cost of goods sold to our other expenses line item. And we have seen that definitely the premium can be charged when you have monopoly in designs. When you give a lot of convenience to the customers, I think they are more than ready to pay you extra for that convenience. And finally, what matters is the entire customer experience. If you can really streamline that experience, if you can give them wow feeling when they are buying the jewelry online, I think people are more than comfortable paying you online. So our margins are definitely higher than the offline brands. We focus more on diamond jewelry. That's our more focused area, and in diamond jewelry we have a lot of we have good margins than gold. Similarly, the new millennials who are entering into the buying funnel, they want to experiment with a lot of lightweight diamond jewelry. So that's entirely a new category that has grown in the business. So in that category also we have high margins. So overall we are seeing good margins coming inside, and at the same time the volumes are also growing consistently year on year, even in number of customers as well as the revenue side. So these are the metrics that we track regularly.
So could you compare your margins? Because we know they are they are offline brands in our country, which people really value. Because gold is something, or jewelry is something you want, something which is hallmark, which is trustworthy, which is dependable. So for somebody, let's say they have a dependable, trustworthy brand, but they're not online. So how do your margins compare with a player like this? Could you give us a ballpark range of your margins?
Sure. So Anisha, in this is, I think gold as a commodity. I think government of India is really pushing everyone to get BI certified and hallmark jewelry. So I think that's a very good educational step that the government is playing. And I think now the consumers are also getting that education that they have to buy BIS hallmark. So all the older jewelers also now have to convert themselves to BIS hallmark jewelry. So that's one thing that is happening very clearly. So now everyone is playing level field, and if you do not increase your margins properly, then the business is not sustainable, and everyone will have to keep increasing their margins to really bring good designs, good service, and the best things to the market. From our side, our margins ranges between 22% to almost 26%. That's our sweet spot that we are hitting. Our aim is to reach 28 to 30%. If we hit that numbers, then that's the best area to be in. And at an ATV of almost 29-30,000, and if you have almost 28 to 30% margin, our cost of acquisition gets nullified very clearly. Even our cost of operations gets nullified, and we start making money on every single unit that we sell. So at unit economics level also it makes a lot of sense for us.
Okay. So you spoke about your audience. You said the millennials want to spend on diamond jewelry, which is lighter diamond jewelry, not the heavy wedding jewelry. So going ahead, what kind of expansion plans do you have? Would you be targeting this segment only? Are you looking at exports as well? And I'm just trying to understand all the capital that you raise from Kalyan Jewelry. Where are you going to use them? Because you buy gold, you buy jewelry, you make jewelry, and you sell it. So where do you need the capital? What do you need the capital for?
So there are a lot of things where we need capital. One thing is for creation of content. So we need to deploy a lot of capital in creation of content and educating the market with what is the right product that they have to buy. Similarly, the younger audience that are coming, we need to invest a lot of time, energy, resources on designing front, because that's where the people will definitely come to the brand. So on the designing front, we are focused a lot in terms of creating a lot of good content. We are focused. The third area, and that's very critical to us, and that's my passion in person also. That's technology. We are investing heavily on technology, so that we really can segment our customers in a better way. Every single customer who is coming on the website can get personalized experience. So we are going on a model where we are going to give one-to-one experience to the consumers. When Anisha is going to come on the website versus Rupesh is going to come on the website, they will see different type of products depending upon their past browsing history and their purchase history. So these are the major areas where we are investing our money and manpower. Similarly, on the exports, we have already registered an entity in US, and we want to start our export market business also, because that's already a matured market, and we see there is a clear cut way for us to grow in that market also. We have good strategic tie-ups in US with a lot of good vendors. They can support us with respect to the operations there. So these are the areas where we really want to expand. We are also thinking on omni-channel presence, where we want to open our flagship stores as a standalone stores, and really want to make that as a point for our consumers to come there, maybe touch and feel if they really want to that, but they have to place the order online. So we want to be a digital first jewelry
Okay.
company where everything has to be online.
Okay, Rupesh, can you tell me how you're leveraging technology? Because these days, some retailers are even using virtual reality, and you can try on a lipstick using your own photograph, and you can get this, you get to see how it looks on your face, etc. So can you tell us, how do you personalize the experience for customers? Are you using analytics? Are you using virtual reality? How do you wow your customer when they come online if you want to be digitally first?
Sure. So we have tried all of these things, and it is, if we work in silos, it doesn't work for us. But if we really package it in a proper way, then this becomes the overall experience for the consumer. So right from segmenting the user when they land on the website, and then when they come on the detail page or main product page, having integrated with virtual try on. So we already have a virtual try on feature, and it's a web based, so you do not have to even install the application. You can directly do virtual try on through that interface. It's seamlessly integrated with our website. Similarly, we have a lot of AI implementation and chatbot implementation. Our entire customer service is transformed into artificial intelligence, where our chatbot is taking care of a lot of customer care queries, and almost 60% of the queries are answered by chatbot. Only 30 to 40% of the queries come to our customer care executive, and we are working continuously on building that model, where if we can cater to 80% of the questions of the customers in real time, only 20% will come to our customer care executive, and 80% can be solved. We are working on voice bots, we are working on chat bots. Similarly, we are working on WhatsApp bots. So these are the areas where we are leveraging a lot of technology. In terms of analytics, we have recently tied up with Adobe Analytics, and we are implementing a full-fledged Adobe Analytics solution inside business. We use a lot of marketing automation tool. We use a lot of good user experience and A/B testing tools, which really helps us in understanding whether we have implemented a change. A is working better than B, or B is working better than C. So these are the areas where we are working and trying to improve our customer experience, and taking feedback continuously from our customers as well as all the people in the organization, and learning on daily basis.
All right. So, Rupesh, you said between 2017 2019, you registered 100% growth. Is this a trajectory that you're going to have over the next few years? What are your projections? And you said that you want an omni-channel presence. You are going to begin your export, so that will also require some amount of capital outlay. So, going ahead, what kind of growth are you projecting? And do you see your margins expanding to that desired level that you thought you will?
So I think the entire team is very well focused on the metrics that we really want to track. And as you rightly mentioned, our focus is to have that same trajectory for next couple of years continuously. Now, from minimum 3 to 4 years, we really want to make that happen for us. So our growth definitely has to be 100% in next 3 4 years. Similarly, on the margins, we want to keep improving on margins and reach our desired mark. So that's the area. Similarly, new lines of business are opening for us. Already at Kalyan Jewelers, they have entered into digital gold business, and we are going to adopt that also very fast. So we are going to get a lot of new age customers who want to invest in gold, digital gold. Similarly, our revenues from international will start, and the omni-channel business is going to take up from 2022. That's our plan to roll out from next year. So these are the things I think that will keep igniting our growth for next couple of years, and want to be in that direction for more period of time.
Okay. One last question, Rupesh. Any more fundraising that you're looking at?
Yeah, definitely. For our growth plans, we will require more funds. We will definitely want to tie up with good venture capitalist or growth firms, who can really help us in growing in different markets, right from United States to maybe European countries and in the country. So definitely, we are looking for fundraise now, so that we can explore few things and really build an omni-channel presence in the country and abroad.
And how much dilution are you looking at?
So, to be very frank, we have not decided on that number, and still we are in talks with a lot of players in the market. But it will be somewhere in the range of 8 to 10%, and would want to raise a capital of somewhere between $30 to $50 million.
Okay. All the very best, Rupesh. for the years ahead for your business at Candere. They say diamonds are a girl's best friend. Let's hope this translates into good growth for Candere. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Anisha. Thanks for your time.
So that was Rupesh joining us on Green Shoots. This wraps up this episode of Green Shoots. We'll be back again talking to a founder about their startup. So do join us again. Bye bye.